Hello dear students. In the last few lectures, we have studied a group. For a group, you need a non-empty set G along with a binary operation on it, for which three conditions are satisfied. Associative property, that means the operation has to be associative. There has to be an identity in the set with respect to the given operation, and for every element in the group, there has to be an inverse. In addition to these conditions, if the commutative property is satisfied, then we say that the group is commutative or abelian. Today, we will define finite groups. So, in a group G comma star, if this underlying set G is finite, so in the group G comma star, if the underlying set G is finite, then we say that the group is finite. Otherwise, it is called an infinite group. So in a group, if the set G is finite, it's called as a finite group. Otherwise, it's called an infinite group. We also define the order of a group. The order of a group firstly is denoted by capital O of G, and in case of a finite group, if the group is finite, then we define the order of G to be the number of elements in G. In other words, the cardinality of G. So if the group is finite, then the order of the group is defined as simply the number of elements in G, which is also the cardinality of the set. If the group is infinite, then we say that the order of G is infinity. Now, if you are dealing with finite groups and you happen to know the precise number of elements in the group, then in order to verify all properties, it's best to look at a composition table. So from a composition table, remember earlier I have told you how to check whether something is a binary operation. I also mentioned how to verify the commutative property, and we had remarked at that stage that it may not be directly possible to determine from the table whether the operation is associative. I had also said that you can use the table and verify whether the operation is associative, but that is a fairly lengthy process. Just by looking at the table, there is no easy way of telling whether the operation is associative or no. So there are two other properties that are left, namely identity and inverse. So firstly, let us see how exactly do we spot the identity from the composition table, and how do we find out inverses for every element by looking at the composition table. So suppose I have a finite set G with n elements, say A1, A2, An, and I have a binary operation star on it, and suppose that for this operation some element Ai in G is identity. So suppose this element is identity, then if I combine any element with this element, I should get back that element. So Ai star A1 will be equal to A1, Ai star A2 will be equal to A2, and Ai star An will be equal to An. So if I know that Ai is my identity element, then this is what will happen. identity combined with any other element should give me that element. Now look at the composition table. Remember, we put the operation star in this corner. We write the elements in the heading row. We also write the elements in the heading column. Now somewhere out here, I will have the element AI. This space is reserved for AI star A1. Then the next space in this row is reserved for AI star A2. And this space is reserved for AI star AN. But if AI is going to be my identity, then this element will have to be equal to A1. This element will have to be equal to A2. And this element will have to be equal to AN. So notice that in this row, I will get A1, A2, AN. And this is identical to the heading row. So this tells me that if I construct my composition table and I need to find out which element is going to be identity, then look for an element corresponding to which the row is identical to the heading row. So if it so happens that in the composition table, the row corresponding to the element AI is the same as the heading row, then this element is going to be our identity element. So this is how you can spot identity from the composition table. Let us now see how to find out inverse of any element. So now suppose in a group there has to be an identity element. Let me denote that by E, and this time let me find out the inverse of an arbitrary element AI. Suppose inverse of AI is AJ. If the inverse of AI is AJ, then AI star AJ will have to be identity. So combination of these two elements should give me identity. But where am I going to get this element exactly? So if this is AI and this is AJ, somewhere here, the intersection of this row and this column will be the element AI star AJ. So if I want the inverse of AI, if I want the inverse of this element, I need to go in this row and spot where I get the identity. So if we require inverse of AI, we go to the row corresponding to AI and find out in this row where we get the identity. And the element directly above that in the heading row is going to be inverse of AI. That's because the combination of these two elements is giving me identity. So this element has to be inverse of this. So this is how you can spot inverses from the composition table. Of course, you will notice that I have mentioned all properties only from one side. Remember, I told you an element is going to be called identity if it works from both left as well as right. But here I have checked the property only from the left. And however, there is a result which we will do slightly later when we are looking at properties of groups, which tells me that for a particular set, if all other conditions are satisfied with respect to that operation and you happen to have a left identity and a left inverse for every element, it's enough. Then it will become a group. So automatically that left identity will also become right identity. Left inverse will also become right inverse for that element. So the result will work when you switch the elements. So now let's look at some examples of finite groups. As our first example of a finite group, we take G equal to 1 omega square, where omega happens to be a complex cube root of unity. That means firstly omega is a complex number and omega cube is equal to 1. And on this set, I take the operation of multiplication of complex numbers. Let us now see how, using the composition table, we can verify that this becomes a group. We have 3 elements in the group, so we write those elements in the heading row and the heading column, and in this corner we put the composition. Now let's multiply. 1 into 1 is 1, 1 into omega is omega, 1 into omega square is omega square, omega into 1 is omega, omega into omega is omega square, and omega into omega square is omega cube, which is equal to 1. So this is omega square, omega cube is 1. Then omega square into omega square will become omega raised to 4. Omega raised to 4 is omega cube into omega. Omega cube is 1. So ultimately this will be equal to omega. So firstly, let us check whether this is a binary operation on the given set. Remember what you need to do. Make sure there are no blanks. Make sure there are no double entries. And every entry in the body of the table should be from the given set. Since these 3 conditions are satisfied, this operation is a binary operation on the given set. I had mentioned that it is not possible to check the associative property at a glance from the table. However, this is a standard operation which is known to be associative, so we can use that property of the operation. Next, let's look at the identity. Notice that this row, the very first row in the body of the table, is identical with the heading row. So, and this row corresponds to the element 1. So, 1 is identity. So, there is an identity in the set with respect to the given operation. Next, for every element in the set, let us find its inverse. We have 3 elements, 1 omega square. And I just now mentioned a while ago how to find the inverse. For that, of course, you should know what is the identity. So in order to find the inverse of 1, look at the identity in that row. The element directly above that in the heading row is the inverse of 1. So inverse of 1 is 1. Now for omega, for this element, I get identity in this place. An element above that in the heading row is omega square. So inverse of omega is omega square because their combination gives me identity. Likewise, for omega square, I get the identity here. Element directly above that in the heading row is omega. So inverse of omega square is omega. Therefore, this is a group. G comma dot is a group. Not only that, check elements are placed symmetrically about the diagonal. Therefore, commutative property is satisfied. So, this is an abelian group or a commutative group. And of course, it's a finite group. This group contains 3 elements. So, we say that the order of this group is 3. We will look at some more examples of finite groups in the next lecture. Thank you.